Yes.
Today we're going to talk about protecting your energy.
Energy, baby.
And this is something we talk about on the reset. It's so important. And the topic's turned up on a day when both of us are flagging.
Yes.
I'm gonna share what I'm flagging.
Yes.
So, well, partly I've not been sleeping super well. It is quite hot, and I've also been a bit run down. So I'm massively impacted, like if I'm not sleeping well. I've been out of my routine because I've been going back and forward from London, but in a different schedule to usual. And I think our bodies are very responsive to routine. So I'm kind of all out of whack. I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know what I'm doing any given day. And then, of course, sometimes when you're traveling a lot, your eating gets less healthy because I'm going between homes and the fridge is never full of like healthy food because I come literally, I did that thing, you know, when you come home and all you've got is a block of cheese and an egg and one egg in your fridge and you're like, what is this?
What meal can I make?
Yeah, what meal can I make? So you're kind of, I'm not set up for success with all of those things. And then I've got a lot of different things going on and I started to feel behind with work. And when I feel behind, I feel stressed. So, and all of this impacts, and we're going to talk today about all the different things that impact energy and how people can protect them. But that's why this is actually quite a good topic, but I'm also flaking. What's going on with you?
It's like you say, it's quite warm. It's like, and like you say, when you get to the point where a lot of things are coming at you, and it's very hard. So I feel like it's really good that we talk about how to protect your like your physical space and your physical energy, and also like your emotional energy. And you talked about Harry Potter, staying away from bloody dementors that will suck the soul out of you.
Can we start with that? Because on the Bad Bitch Reset, we talk about energy drains, and we'll talk about obviously like food, you know, eating the wrong kind of foods can be one, but we talk a lot about other people being energy drains. Can you start with kind of explaining that phenomenon and what that feels and looks like?
Well, I think it really does come back to, you know, like how we are in cavewomen days, and as you referred to about, we used to tell stories around the campfire, and now movies are that equivalent. So when we used to be in a tribe, and we used to live in tribes, and we still want to connect in a tribe, and because exclusion from the tribe would have meant death back in the old days, in the cavewomen days and the caveman days. If we find ourselves, we will naturally on a subconscious level, when we go into certain tribes or certain rooms, it's very easy to find ourselves drawn into that energy of that room. And it seems to be sometimes that the easiest way in certain rooms to bond is to complain. It's like a common ground that people can establish very easily, which brings down the whole energy of the tribe and the whole energy of the room. And it's like we want to establish that connection, but we just need to be really mindful if we're making the right connections. How do we feel after that connection is finished when we come away? Do we feel like, even if it's on an individual level with friends, not just in a group, do we feel like our cup is full? Do we feel like actually all we've done is deplete our reserves and taken on everyone else's shit and listen to what's going on in their lives?
Yes.
Not that me just venting there.
No, you vent away, because there is that thing where check in with yourself, and obviously there's always a time where you go and see a friend and they're having a bad time.
100%.
But check in every time you see that person. Do you feel flat and tired afterwards?
Yes.
And that can both be that person's an energy drain, but I do also think there's work you can do to not take on other people's emotions.
Definitely.
Now, if that person, if all they do is complain, that's a negative vibe you don't really want to be around.
No.
But if it's like they don't always complain, but when they do complain, it really impacts you.
Yes.
I think you can do work to, you know, we talked before about the ball of discomfort or not taking responsibility for other people's emotions in our previous episode. But I think if you notice in a conversation that you're starting to feel a bit down or drained, check in. Why am I taking responsibility for this person's experience? Like the other day, a friend was talking to me about a difficult experience, and I was able to listen and ask questions and be there for them. But it also wasn't impacting me. Yeah. Because I was very mindful that that's their challenge for them to deal with. That's not my challenge for me to deal with.
Yes, and it's like, and the if you can hold your own space and like protect your energy, you're actually going to you're going to be in a better place, exactly like you did, to ask the right questions that are going to help that person to make the right decision for them, rather than you, because it's very easy as well, especially if you love that person and you care about them and you want to help them. It's very easy to get into that space where you're like, what am I going to do? What can I do to solve it? How can I do it? It's very easy, but actually, when you're removed just slightly from the situation, you can provide a more sort of an actual helpful view.
I think that we've got a lot of experience in that, because obviously in my work now as a coach, but also when I worked one-to-one previously as a nutritional therapist, you have to learn very quickly not to do that, because otherwise you would see a load of clients and you'd be extremely drained. And you'd be, especially when it was ill health, you could get so invested in them getting better, or then you set a protocol that you know will help them, but then they're not following it. You can get too invested in that. So I think maybe it's easier for us to do that and talk about it, because professionally we have to. And sometimes with my clients, I think, you know, something's not gone well, they're a bit upset, and I've got to, at the end of that call, not take that home with me.
Yeah.
And obviously I always want every success and my clients to be happy, but be like, okay, that's where that client needs to be at this moment. That is that person's life. So I think for people listening, where you're not doing that professionally, it's that the first step is awareness.
Yes.
Just notice when you are taking responsibility, rather than worrying about not taking it. Just go, wait, when am I taking responsibility for this person? Am I investing too much in trying to fix their problems?
Yes.
And is that a one-off, or is this like a regular pattern where this friend turns up at my house only when they have things to complain about? It's that reciprocity.
Yes.
They're not turning up when I need them, or they're not proactively asking how I am. They're just turning up, or they're just calling me when they have a problem, and then they're dumping that on me, and I don't feel good afterwards.
Exactly that. And there's nothing, if you feel that is a situation that has become like that's happening in your life, you can just take it's not like a cut it dead, like you don't have to do that, but it's just like it's like extracting yourself in a way from that situation, whether it's that you maybe start seeing them slightly less, and see how you feel. Because if you feel like, okay, actually this is something that actually I don't mind when I'm away from it, but the chances are, if you are getting those initial cues, it's like listening to your gut. You will know in your gut if that person is someone that you want to spend time with, or someone that actually does genuinely care about you, or is just using you as a sounding board.
There are different friends for different things as well. I think we've all had friends where it's like, when I'm in a great place, when I hang out with that person, I have an amazing time.
Yes.
And I do want to be friends with that person, but when I'm not in a great place, they're not the person. Like we were talking about the other day, where I was like, I wasn't feeling great, and you said, do I need to go home? And I was like, no, you're the perfect person to hang out with when I'm not feeling great.
Yes.
So I think it's just being very mindful about who you're spending time with.
Yeah.
But just on that point of not taking responsibility, I was running a workshop recently, and someone told me this in the workshop, which was fascinating. They were saying that when someone in their team comes to them to complain, they ask, do you want to be heard, helped, or hugged?
Yes, love that.
And obviously you can't always hug people in the workplace, just be mindful of that. It's not always inappropriate.
Some people don't
touching.
like it.
But I thought that's really great. I think sometimes when someone comes to you, and if you say, do you want to be heard? Do you want to be helped? Do you want to be hugged? It's brilliant with a partner, it's brilliant with a friend, because they might say, I don't want to be helped.
Yes.
I don't want you to fix this.
No.
I just want to be heard. And then you can just sit back and listen and agree with them. And it's not going to drain your energy, because you're not going to be trying to fix it or getting frustrated that it's not being fixed. Or they just want a hug. You can give that, and you're not burning through tons of energy trying to fix their problem. So I think sometimes asking people what they need is a really good one.
Exactly. So we've got, from a friends or even a work and environments perspective, assessing how you feel in your gut, maybe taking a step back or asking that person, do you want to be heard, helped, or hugged?
Yes.
That is a brilliant way for that scenario. What other areas do we need to think about in terms of protecting our energy?
Before we move on to the next area,
yes,
can we just call out the world of work for this one? Because it's much easier, I think, in your personal life to withdraw, spend less time with someone. If you go in and every day you are sat next to an energy drain and you're listening to them complaining, not just to you, but like complaining all day, being negative all day, you can't just say, I just don't want to sit here, I don't want to work with that person.
No.
That's a lot harder. Do you have any strategies of how people can separate themselves from that? Because that's a really difficult situation.
Definitely. Firstly, if you can work from home, work from home.
Work from home, great one.
But yeah, so even if it's like, if you are in the office 5 days a week and you have the capacity to work from home, even if you can work, even if it's a half a day, or work remotely if home's not the place, extracting yourself out of, even for like half a day out of the 5 days, is a step in the right gentle direction. Or if you can work like 2 days a week, again, brilliant. if there's like a quiet room that you, or a separate meeting room where you're like, I just have to go on a client call. And even if you just take yourself out for like an hour, half an hour, if you can do that, brilliant. Another thing that I will do with my clients is visualizing. You can visualize like a little, you might not be able to do it all the time because it might slip down and you might find yourself waylaid by other people's woes and what's going on. But visualizing like a little permeable bubble coming up over yourself. So what you don't, and you're in control of your bubble. So what you want to come in, the good things come in, but everything else is just sort of bouncing off the walls of the bubble. So you're protecting your space. And that visualization of just drawing a little bubble around you, it works really well in the street. If people are walking to you and you're like, oh, I don't like your vibe. Or even if you're like, oh, I don't want someone to interact. If you draw up a little visual bubble around you, it's a good little visual cue for your brain that you're protecting your space. And it does actually weirdly work.
I have a couple of similar tricks that work. One of them is, I would visualize, if I'm talking to that person, they're being negative, I would visualize them getting really small, like a little figure, like a cake topper, like wedding cake figurine, and visualize them in my hand. And I'd visualize me blowing them away. So every out breath that I'm doing is me blowing that person away.
It's a soft out breath.
Yeah,
not like...
you're not like at them. But sometimes you could. Sometimes I would just be like, sometimes there's nothing wrong with just going, express it.
Yeah.
So one of them is like, just visualize that person blowing it away. Another thing is, if you're just having to sit and listen to it, it's something out of the Power of Now, is visualize that you're invisible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds weird to visualize, but if you visualize that you're invisible and visualize what they're saying passing through you to somebody else, somewhere else. So it's not stopping at you, it's just passing through, but it's not impacting you. Mm-hmm. So just visualize that you're not there, or their negative language is just passing through you. And then the other thing that I like to do is I kind of like to call it out in quite a funny way, where if someone's really negative, I like to go full Pollyanna at them.
Yeah.
So I will then become offensively positive about everything. And they'll say something that's really negative, and I'll say, gosh, it's interesting you see it that way, because I think that's fantastic. I think that's a great opportunity. And just go really, really far the other way, which almost kind of shows them up. Or just call it out every day and go, God, you seem to be having a really bad time. Just say that constantly at them. And eventually they're like, what's going on? And then the other thing is, find the people who want to be positive. At the beginning of this, you were saying about going to an event and we like to connect by being critical. I love going to an event and saying to someone, wow, you look fantastic, or I love your bag, whatever.
Yes.
So go into the office, be the person who brings the positive vibes, and then find the people who respond to that, and just spend more time talking to and listening to them, and less time talking to the negative people, because people are a lot of what we're doing is just about attention.
And if you can lift people up, that's great. That's what I used to do when I used to go into the office, and I'd be like, I used to go in the office, I'm not advocating swearing in the workplace, but I used to think of what is the most random thing I can say to these people? And so it would be like, morning motherfuckers, or something, or I'd be like, hi my sweet cherry pies, cherubs, what's going on today?
And it just lifts the mood. So be the kind of happy person. Okay, so that's kind of the dementors, the energy drains, which is a big thing. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the other energy drains. I mean, we can pick any of these, but obviously one of them is sleep. Like sleep boosts our energy, but not having good sleep hygiene. So it's a big one. There's a big one on food, which is we can have a lot of food that we'll eat because it gives us short-term energy, but in the long run, that's an energy drain. And I think a big one I believe is overthinking. I think as well, like probably one that a lot of people will struggle with in terms of energy drains, even though if it's an obvious one, is social media and screen time. I don't even mention that because I don't do it.
Yeah, no,
I'm not a social media person at all.
It is interesting. What I would also say as well is, and we can get into let's get into those individual ones in a second, is when you sometimes are not in a particular place in your life where you're feeling creatively filled or you're on the right path, you will lean on these habits like the social media, the eating, etc. So it might be that you want to just have a little, very gentle peek in the door of like what is happening in life in the whole.
Yes.
Is there bigger things that are pointing me in the direction of getting that short-term fix? Because when you actually make a big change, or when you change the thing that is actually causing, because all these like energy drains, they sometimes are like little like crutches that we're leaning on to help us to feel like some short-term pleasure. When the main stressor falls away, these habits,
we don't need them.
They just fall away too. And unless I'd been through it myself, I would have been like, there's no way I can ever give up having cake in bed at 11 o'clock at night. Or like on social media. But that having a look at it from that perspective, I'm like, this is crazy.
That it's so interesting you say that, because I had a client this week who her job is easier than her last job, but she has less energy. And what I was able to help her see was that because her current job is not aligned with what motivates her, it doesn't give her energy. And she could do a job that was longer hours, but would give her more energy, and she would come home with more energy because it was aligned with her motivators, because it was fulfilling. But when she's in this job that's basically a bit too easy for her and not that fulfilling, it's actually draining her energy.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And it's like a good question that I've heard posed before is, if you're in that situation at the end of the day, or you find yourself like halfway through the day and you're really tired, are you physically tired or are you mentally tired?
Yes.
And establishing where you are, because it might be that you, like you were saying about your lovely client who's not feeling stimulated by a job, you think you're physically tired and you're just done in, but actually you're just not stimulated and you're just...
That was exactly it. And I think it was a penny drop moment for her.
That's amazing.
Where she's like, oh, I'm not tired because I'm getting older, which is this classic narrative we tell ourselves. Tired because my work is not stimulating. And you spend so much time doing it that it should in some ways recharge you.
Yes. So having a big look at like life and seeing what actually is there anything bigger that's leading me to lean on these things. But in terms of sort of like tackling like the food, the social media, and the energy drains of our time, what kind of insight should we share on this?
Well, I think so much of it is about short-term versus long-term decisions, that we're doing short-term fixes to make ourselves feel better in the moment, whether that's doom scrolling, like trashy news, or whether that's going to eat like chocolate or have some caffeine, which, by the way, we all do. There's a place for it. But if you're leaning on that heavily, you give yourself short-term energy, but in the long run, things like your adrenal glands that manage your stress response, you pay a tax. So in the long run, you can't sustain your natural energy.
No.
The challenge with that is then to reset your energy, you have to focus on foods and habits that give you energy in the longer run.
Yes.
So for example, eating much less like processed food and eating more vegetables and investing in, we're so brainwashed to think that carbohydrates are the source of energy, but investing in a diet rich in healthy fats, healthy proteins, healthy vegetables. But when you change your diet to that, if you're used to short-term fixes, you feel terrible at first. And so it's we've got to balance that with, you're a mum with kids and you're exhausted because you've been up all night.
Yes.
And I tell you, have like a whole grain breakfast, and you're like, that's
no way, bro.
It's not gonna, it's not going to cut it. But it's about going, okay, well, can I have one meal a day that is a real investment in my energy tomorrow or in the next few days? And then there might be another meal or another drink or whatever that's just going to give me the boost I need now. But the danger is everything we start doing is about making us feel better in the short term. And sometimes you need to actually feel a bit worse in the short term to feel better in the long run.
Yes. And managing that in a way, like you said, it's like it's bringing in like one sort of like meal at a time, like steadily and slowly, or like maybe having what I would call a warrior shake in the morning.
Oh yes, I think that's the best one.
Yeah,
because when they look at study willpower, we have more willpower in the morning, which is why we're more likely to eat cake in bed at night and less likely to start our day with cake, although I could eat cake anytime. But
there's someone today, I was driving along, I had an ice cream at 9:15 and I was like,
it's premature.
Brilliant.
But so actually, if you have, I don't, on a weekend I'll have whatever I want, but on a weekday, I, like you, will have a standard breakfast that's a shake, and it's got avocado and spinach, it's got protein, it's got creatine, it's got chlorella powder in, some extra vitamins in there. And that if you just make yourself have that thing, and even if you then say, after this, I can eat and drink whatever I want. But when you start with something that's really nutrient dense, then you're setting your energy up for the day, and you're less likely to have cravings. Because a lot of our cravings, we think they're for sugars, but our body's actually just looking for nutrients. And because we haven't evolved that much from our ancestors, the food that was available to our ancestors was all really nutrient dense, fruit, vegetables, meats. So our brain just goes, oh, I'm hungry and food must give me nutrition. But there's a lot of food we eat which is virtually no nutrients at all. It's like it's been so processed, it's just kind of sugar and bad fats. But we can still crave that because our body's like, I don't have enough vitamins, so let me keep eating. And you can get people who are genuinely absolutely starving, even though they seem very overweight. They are genuinely starving because their body is just desperately looking for nutrients. So if you can start your day with a good multivitamin and a good shake that's just really nutrient rich, you're going to have less cravings for the rest of the day. You're going to have more stable blood sugar. So I think that first meal of the day is a great investment. But then don't feel like you then have to hold yourself, because the danger is we try and hold ourselves to a perfect standard. And then when we can't keep it up, we beat ourselves up and then we eat a whole packet of Oreos. And that's the cycle that we repeat. I'm really not a fan of trying to be perfect with our diets at all.
No. And there is something as well from a brain perspective, is if you do start your day directing your attention towards having your shake, having your good habit, there is something like your brain is like, okay, this is cool. This is what we're doing. We're going in this direction. And then if you get a win, an easy win, make it an easy win in the morning. It's easier then to build on that win.
Oh, I love just 20 minutes of exercise in the morning because it's not too much. It's not going to eat up the whole day, but you already feel like a winner. Like if you can get into work and you've done 20 minutes of exercise and have a green shake, you can feel smug. And the smugness is a good thing. Like that can help you. So I used to go to work with this shake that honestly looks like pond water. Like it looks disgusting, but I would feel so virtuous just having it on my desk. It definitely helps. So all these are kind of psychological tricks. So I think on the food, and also I recently watched the Rewilding documentary on Amazon. Have you seen it?
No.
I think maybe it's called Wilding. Highly recommend this. It's on Amazon. There's also an audio book. Well, there's a book called Wilding, and the lady who's written it's a lady called Isabella Tree. And they have this estate.
I love that her name is Tree.
Oh, she's got the most perfect name for this. So they have this estate in East Sussex. I can't remember the name of it. And they were farmers. That her husband inherited this farming estate. And like a lot of farmers, they were finding it harder and harder to make money from farming. And they were having to get more and more intensive. And they could see they were degrading the land. And they decided to go on this incredible project to rewild their entire estate. And this documentary on Amazon is absolutely beautiful filmmaking. And the story is incredible. And so they choose wild breeds of animals and they don't manage their animals. Like they maybe manage them about 10%. And so they're letting the animals breed themselves, rear their young themselves, feed themselves. It's absolutely extraordinary. And they don't really talk about food, but what it made me think about was when you watch that documentary, you watch the land heal itself.
That's amazing.
It is incredible. And our bodies can heal themselves if we eat much more closely to nature, to how our ancestors would have done it. So I think there's also something about getting closer to nature in all of our habits when it comes to energy, getting closer to nature in our sleep, going to bed earlier. We talked before about seasonal affective disorder, but adjusting our sleep according to the time of year. Thinking about our food, how can we get that closest to what's natural, what's grown in your environment? You know, it's interesting, in the blue zones in Costa Rica, they eat tons of tropical fruit and they're fine with it because they're genetically set up for that. If we do it, we get diabetes. So it's like thinking about eating more ancestrally. And in this film, it takes 10 years. And the body can completely transform in 10 years. So, but I think there is this thing about we need to make very long-term investments in our health and our energy and getting closer and back to nature and slowing down. And one of the ways to protect your energy is don't try and live your life at 100 miles an hour the whole time.
No, exactly that. Because the world is set up to encourage us to do the thing, be more, do more all the time.
Hustle.
Exactly. Hustle culture. It's like how many meetings you've done in a day is a badge of honor. It doesn't matter how depleted and how shit you feel. But like when it comes to making these changes and coming back to like how you should be and what in a way that feels good to you, just don't expect it to happen overnight. Take your time.
An investment,
Exactly. And if you fall off the train, who cares? Because you've already started making that change. You've made good switches. Just get back on it. All those like health benefits that you've had of like doing those habits in the short term are still there, and you can just build on the wins.
So final little piece on this before we wrap up today. Can we talk a bit about sleep?
Yes.
Because I know for me that has one of the biggest impacts on my energy. What are some of the habits that people need to the bad habits to avoid, or the good habits that regularly keep you having really good quality sleep that's going to genuinely leave you feeling recharged and re-energized?
I think definitely have a routine, because the more you can set your brain up for this is time to go to bed, and you're giving it the cues, whether it's like I read a book, I have a bath, I do some stretches, then I get into bed. Staying off screens is obviously like a big one.
Yes.
If you can, especially if you're gonna watch if you're looking on social media where the whole algorithm is probably set up to rage bait you all the time. We don't want that before we go to bed.
No, Ray. Why do people watch documentaries about murders in the evening?
Sometimes some people will find it like, I don't know if comforting is the wrong word, but they just find it interesting. It's like they're not the kind of the people that are necessarily thinking, I can put myself in that scenario. They're not so connected to it.
I don't think that can be calming for the brain.
It's definitely not. I don't know. It's just
So
it
I
might be
think
the
think
fact they've
about
got a habit.
Think about what you're watching.
Yes,
and try not to watch anything for at least an hour or 2 hours before bed.
Exactly that.
One of my top tips, and this is probably why my energy is flagging a bit because I haven't done it brilliantly because I've been travelling around, is don't eat your dinner too late.
No, that is a huge one.
If you can eat kind of around 7, so you've got 3-4 hours before you go to bed, or even earlier if you can, but trying to eat that dinner earlier, your body then recognises you're kind of entering that wind down time, but you also have time for your gut to digest the food, because overnight that's when your liver's meant to be working. So you need to have done the digestion, the first step, so that the liver can do its work. And the worst thing to do, we've all done it, is you eat a very late dinner, you go to bed within an hour, and you might be sleeping for a certain number of hours, but it's not good quality sleep. And I think this is the mistake, is sometimes we just worry about the number, but actually it's really about setting yourself up for quality.
Definitely that. And if you feel like you need to have like a little sweet something after dinner, which is obviously, again, your area of expertise, but I'm assuming to spike your blood sugars before you go to bed, which is going to get you like, whoa, which you probably don't want.
No.
But it's like, if you need to have something sweet, have like a small square of dark chocolate, like,
I don't love dark chocolate because it's got caffeine in it.
Okay, tell me.
I love things like, just have some berries, like have some blueberries, raspberries, like nature sweeties. So I have an issue where I can wake up in the night if my blood sugar can drop. So I think it's good to have your main dinner at 7 o'clock. But then what you might have, if you find that you get early morning waking, is you might have some kind of whole grain snack a bit later. So you might have some oatcakes with a little bit of hummus, or I might have like a bit of whole grain toast with peanut butter, but it's something small. And then that kind of smooths out your blood sugar, and it still feels like a little bit of a treat. But what you don't want to be doing is having the dark chocolate because that's got caffeine in it, having the ice cream because that's got way too much sugar, and it will. And what happens is it pushes your blood sugar up, and then as it crashes, because it's dangerous for our blood sugar to get really low. When our blood sugar gets below a certain level, if we're asleep, we wake up. So when I used to work with a lot of clients with insomnia, if they have early waking insomnia, which is where you're waking up 3-4 in the morning, you can't get to sleep, it's often that your blood sugars drop too much. So then you have to go back and look at the day before, particularly the dinner, sometimes adding in an evening snack. It's just like how we like sleep train babies, but working out the timing of that so that their blood sugar stays more stable overnight.
I love that. And another little tip which I heard, which I thought was great, was about having overhead lights on and in the evening, and not having that, and trying to keep like all the lighting. It's like low lamps below eye level, and kind of like just setting that soft lighting.
I mean, in the longevity world, they all go around with the red lights in their houses and the blue light glasses, just so they don't have any of that light. But I like to just live in a nice looking house. Like, it does look a bit odd. So it is that thing about make the lighting lower, create an evening ambiance. I think even like getting changed ready for bed quite early is quite a strong mental cue. Have a bath. So you're telling your brain, just like you do, like you have a little bedtime story. I joke that I have a bedtime story with my dog, because there's a certain point in the evening where I'll just sit down with her and it signals to her and me that it's going to be bedtime soon. And she doesn't actually need a story read to her, but these kind of healthy little patterns and rituals. And so because I used to be a massive insomniac, the worst thing for me was to get into bed when I wasn't ready to sleep. So now 9 times out of 10, by the time I get into bed, I'm asleep in 5 minutes.
I love that. That's really good.
Shall we end there? By the way, given that we're both flagging, I thought we brought the energy today.
That was
well done.
Good. Yes.
We still managed it.
Yes,
we
exactly.
hope you've enjoyed it. And there's so much there. We can probably unpack more of it. But it's not about perfection.
No, absolutely not.
Just little healthy habits.
Small turning of the tide, like just little baby steps. You don't expect a child, like when they're training to walk, to nail it the first time. They might stand, they might wobble, they might fall over. They do it. They go again. Exactly the same for you. So yeah, we wish you the best of luck. And if you need anything, please do reach out to us. And similarly, if you feel like there is anyone that you know that would benefit from listening to this episode, feel free to share it and like the podcast. And we look forward to seeing you again very soon.